Are you afraid of getting bitten and subsequently drained in the middle of the night on your way home from the local pub by a vampire or some other supernatural creature? I know I am. Hi, my name is Wendel-Hansen Jr. But you might as well just call me Tim. As you may have heard, it was recently proven that vampires, werewolves, and other supernatural creatures are as real and breathing as the people from New Zealand. With the exception of zombies, of course, who were never really breathing to begin with. As a precaution against future drainings and dismemberment, the government requested I make an instructional video for teaching people how to best fend off vampires, werewolves, and the occasional leprechaun. On the table are some of the most common tools for defending yourself against the powers of darkness. The one you're probably already familiar with, if you're Christian or heretic, is the crucifix.
Commonly used as a repellent against the servants of evil, it is the most efficient at protecting its user when utilized against vampires, though provides quite the opposite effect in certain other cases. Other useful tools against vampires include stakes, garlic bread, chainsaw, and of course the poetic stylings of Kevin Federline.
Yeah, for cats in my ear, if you look, see a glare, I'm one of a kind with wonderful ride. I'm skating off the Ferrari.
Recent studies have also suggested that vampires are fairly susceptible to sunlight, and can therefore not stay in it for a very long time.
A common known fact about vampires is that they like turning other people into vampires, particularly youngish blondes, though they tend to prefer anything with long hair and a nice set of breasts. If you suspect a friend or a coworker have been turned, look for pale skin, long fangs, and an increased tendency of biting people in the neck before you attempt to stake them. Attempted murder lawsuits are not that funny. But vampires aren't the worst things you may or may not encounter out there. While it might be uncomfortable at first, getting your blood drained every once in a while might not always be such a bad thing for you. In particular, if you're suffering from any blood-based diseases. But getting ripped to shreds by a hungry werewolf usually spells bad for you any day of the week. Werewolves are tricky in that the only thing that can really hurt them are pointy things made out of silver, and silver is expensive. But for those of you living below your means and unable to afford silver, we have a few additional tips on how to outsmart the common werewolf.
A clever disguise might be able to buy you a few more minutes of living. Unfortunately, werewolves have a well-developed sense of smell, and if you really want your disguise to be effective, you may have to rub yourself in manure or some other very smelling substance prior to dressing up. However, the most effective way of dealing with werewolves, without the use of silver, has proven to be a woolen kick to the groin, so you may want to consider doing that before running off and rubbing yourself all over in cab rides, if you ever were to encounter a werewolf.
Another creature that can prove to be problematic to deal with would be ghosts. Because of their incorporeal nature, they can be a trifle hard to physically harm. Though this means they can't really physically harm you either, they can still hurt your self-confidence with thoroughly thought-through verbal insults. So if you feel a need to get rid of one of them, you should consider one of the following options.
Hiring a Catholic exorcist, which may require some serious Christian connections. Sprinkling your house or living abode with holy water also may require some Christian connections, since holy water doesn't work properly if it happens to have been stolen. Salt would be the most practical solution, if not the cheapest one, since the amount of salt required to cover your living quarter may vary a lot in quantity and price. The only exception to these basic guidelines for ridding yourself of ghosts would be if you were to encounter a poltergeist, in which case all you really can do would be to call this lady, a safe distance away from the location of the poltergeist haunting. Her number is in the Southwestern American phone book under the category Alternative Services.
A creature that would also be wise to keep an eye out for would be the zombies. Though there are many varieties of zombies around, The most common one would be the Romero type flesh and brain eating one. This variety of zombie, and the rest of the lot for that matter, are slow, shambling, and very brain dead. Something that scientists recently have discovered is due to them rotting all over the place. They are still very dangerous, however, since a single bite or scratch from any of them will get you infected with the zombie-turning bacteria, virus, and or curse, which eventually and inevitably will turn you into one. You should also refrain from engaging in any form of makeup session with any of them if you don't want to become infected. If you were to be infected, there really isn't much you can do, except get your affairs in order and find the most comfortable way of doing yourself in, if you don't want to run the risk of infecting your friends as well.
The preferred method to do this seems to be sacrificing oneself to save friends, at least if you're a member of the socialist group, protagonists in zombie-containing movies.
As for avoiding getting infected, the easiest ways would be to kill all or run away from any and all zombies you may encounter.
Killing them is achieved by removing the head or destroying the brain, though complete incineration also has proven to be effective.
A creature very similar to the zombies, and also share with them their speech impediment and rotting characteristic, are the mummies.
Though ordinary, non-living mummies are plenty, the unliving kind are usually far and few in between, since the only mummies that tend to return to unlife are either the mummies of high priests from fairly renowned ancient religious societies, or the ones who are brought back by the occasional spell. Though some of them do possess dark magic, they're usually not that difficult to deal with, even for the most average of citizens. Classified by the official government charter as slightly more difficult to deal with than a leprechaun, their tendency to be dressed solely in very dry bandages leaves them very susceptible to even the slightest source of fire, and hence they can be comfortably dealt with any form of lighter or a few matchsticks.
Finally on the list of things to deal with, we have the leprechaun. Not a very horrible creature to oppose, they do possess some generic magical qualities, and are known to be disproportionately strong in regard to their size.
They are, however, very small, and if you should find one of them difficult to handle, you would be a winner, since the scientifically proven most effective method to deal with them would be to sit on them. Also, they usually try to run away from you if you were to happen upon one of them, and they only tend to be encountered on Ireland, where people usually only go to get drunk or for sheep-related purposes, and are therefore usually not that troublesome for anyone who might find them bothersome, except for the occasional Irish nun.
And that's it. The information I'm just presenting you with is all the things I've been authorized and paid for to tell you. If you feel that the general quality of the program have been lacking, or otherwise believe that we're withholding vital information essential for your survival against the powers of darkness, we don't care. And if you would like some additional information on the previous subjects, you can go suck a bite.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.